This is Courtlandt Griffin with Bowie TV. Pro Football Focus Media Director Gordon McGuiness. How you doing today, Gordon?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Good. So, just a general conversation about your starting media and how did you get started with Pro Football Focus, which is one of the foremost media companies now in sports.
Yeah, you'll notice from my accent that I'm not American. Initially started watching the NFL when I was about 14 years old back home in Scotland, and was really interested in it, wanted to learn more about it, and was on a message board with a group of kind of like-minded guys who really were interested in it as well. And one of them was a guy called Neil Hornsby who founded PFF. And I kind of helped out on a part-time basis early on, and then a little over a decade ago got a full-time job with the company, and really it's kind of gone from there. So I started on the data collection side, built myself up there, moved into our social media, and now I'm over our content operations.
Nice. And so, like you said, you've pretty much worked your way up and done everything there is from data collection to now media content. Um, was there anything that you saw like trends as far as especially in media markets like Washington and Baltimore, which are not the hugest media markets, but have a lot of media draw as far as football goes with the Ravens and Commanders?
Yeah, I think probably one of the most interesting things from this year, and maybe less than a trend and more just something that was interesting, is having both teams be good this year meant that there was a lot of attention in that area. The Ravens obviously generally have been a good team over a long period of time, but the Commanders hitting on Jaden Daniels at quarterback has now focused a lot more attention there. I think as you look ahead to 2025, realistically you should expect that quite a lot of primetime games are going to feature one of those two teams.
And then, like you said, primetime games, social media, content, possibly even the Super Bowl, right? What do you see the future for Washington and Baltimore being as we kind of move into that new JD5 era with Jaden Daniels and then Lamar Jackson, who's a multiple-time MVP, and then also Derrick Henry coming there, and that the future of that team not seeming like it's going to slow down anytime soon?
Yeah, I think if you start with the Ravens, I think there is, on one side, you can look at it and say, look, they got close yet again this year, but they couldn't get over the hump. And that's now a couple of years in a row whereby they haven't been able to get there. But I think if you take the Lamar Jackson narrative early in his career and you look at how that game ended, the game is on the line, the lights are at their absolute brightest in that game, and he goes and drives that team down the field, puts the ball where it needs to be for a 2-point conversion that would have taken the game into overtime. So I think the Ravens probably are going to feel pretty confident that they are still going to be able to contend for Super Bowls. It's just tougher in the AFC because you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Josh Allen, the Bengals and Joe Burrow, all those teams. It's a really tough conference to go and go to the Super Bowl. The flip side for the Commanders is their path to get there isn't as tough because there aren't as many strong teams. And we saw from this year that they can be a force on offense. Jaden Daniels is incredibly comfortable as a passer, can make things happen with his legs as well. And I think realistically going into next year, they're probably going to be third or fourth favorite to go to the Super Bowl in the NFC.
And then just kind of sticking with the trend of Jaden Daniels, right? Rookie quarterbacks, generally, you don't see them skyrocket to fame like he did, at least not on a constant scale. I kind of want to keep it on the Commanders, but you saw last year with a guy like C.J. Stroud, for example, he pushed his team, a lot further. Is there a trend that you've seen with first-year quarterbacks and how that affects the media coverage and shifts the media coverage when they have early success? And then how did you see that shift from like with the Commanders and Jaden Daniels and from where they were last year to this year?
Yeah, I think so. The media trend in terms of media-wise, everyone loves to talk about successful rookie quarterbacks, and I think that's largely because fan bases love it, and it's because there's hope. So you think about even the Atlanta Falcons, who saw some potential out of Michael Penix Jr. at the end of the year. It's because it gives you that hope for the following season. So for the Commanders, one this season, it got them right into contention this year, but it also sets that team up for the fan base to be really hopeful of being successful over the next 4 or 5 years and beyond. And that just makes people hopeful and want to tune in and all those things. Similarly, the Denver Broncos struggled to go beyond in a division like the AFC West with the Kansas City Chiefs in there. But Bo Nix gave them enough reason for those fans to be hopeful and optimistic for the future. So anytime you have a rookie quarterback who shows any level of success, I think immediately the fan base is hopeful for the future. And for media, they're going to want to talk about those things because people are going to want to tune in when they are.
And then one last thing, just focusing on Jaden Daniels, for example, from what you saw out of him this year, where do you think the future lies for him? Where do you think his pinnacle is? Because it seems like his star went from bright to shining on the brightest stage. And then, I mean, he fell short this year, but I mean, where do you see this guy being in about 5 years? And is there any hope that you can give Washington Commanders fans as they finally got their guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the season as a whole, and I think there's huge reason for optimism for Commanders fans heading into the future because of how good he was. In terms of our grading system at PFF, his 2024 rookie season was the highest grade for a rookie quarterback since Russell Wilson back in 2012. So the odds on him not being a successful quarterback when he's had that successful a rookie season are pretty slim. And I think the main reason that I think it gives Commanders fans hope is that there is a team now there to build around over the next 4 or 5 years, especially when he's on that rookie quarterback. There's a huge window there whereby you are getting quarterback play that if it was on the open market would cost you $55 million a year. You're getting that for $6, $7, $8 million a year. And that gives you a lot more room to go out and make a couple of trades for playmakers that can help this roster elevate and go forward.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you for your time, buddy. Again, this is Courtlandt Griffin with Blue TV with PFF Director of Media, Gordon McGuiness. Thank you, guys.